හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Saturday the 25th of November 2023. 4.5 billion US dollars. Sinopec refinery project proposal expected to be approved on Monday, reveals the Power and Energy Minister. Cricket in Parliament. Opposition alleges that the cabinet attempts to curb the powers of the sports minister.
එහෙම පුළුවන් ද කැබිනට් එකට තීන්දුවක් ගන්න මේ රටේ පවතින ක්‍රීඩා නීතිය අභිබවා ගිහිල්ලා
කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයක් තීරණ ගන්න ඕන රටේ නීති අනුව. නීතියට පටහැටි තීරණ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට ගන්න බෑ.
The government reacts.
අමතිවරයෙකුගේ බලතල කප්පාදු කිරීමක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් සාකච්ඡා කිරීමක් සිදු වුණේ නැහැ.
Minister's solution. Sports Minister wants the District Cricket Association boards to be dissolved to prevent corrupt officials being elected to the SLC.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to AdaDerana First at 9. I'm Aditya Dirsingha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara revealed that Sri Lanka is likely to approve a proposal from the Chinese state refiner Sinopec to build a $4.5 billion US dollar refinery in Hambantota. According to the minister, the approval is expected to be obtained at the cabinet meeting on Monday. Addressing a media briefing today, the Power and Energy Minister also explained on the unbundling process of the Ceylon Electricity Board under the new Electricity Act, which is expected to be gazetted within the next 2 weeks.
බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා නව විදුලි බල පනත එළඹෙන සති දෙක ඇතුළ තුල ගැසට් කිරීමටත් ඒ වගේම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමටත් අපි යෝජනා කරලා තියෙන්නේ සමාගම් 4ක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කරන්න. එහි ජල විදුලියට ආශ්‍රිත සියලුම දේවල් 100%ක් රජයේ පාලනයේ යටතේ ඉදිරියටත් පවත්වාගෙන යන ආකාරයට එක් සමාගමක් බවට පත් කරන්න. ඒ අනුව මහවැලි ලක්ෂපාන පමණලව කියන මේ ජලාශවලත් මේ කාරණා සියල්ලම එක සමාගමක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කිරීම. ඒ වගේම නොරොච්චෝලේ බලාගාරය එක් සමාගමක් ලෙසටත් අපේ රටේ තියෙන අනෙකුත් සියලුම දැවිතෙල් ඉන්ධන බලාගාර සියල්ලම එක සමාගමක් යටතේත් අපේ පුනර්ජනීය බල ශක්තිය දැනට තියෙන අපේ මන්නාරමේ ඒ මන්නාරමේ තියෙන බලාගාර සහ ඉදිරියේදී ඉදි කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන පුනර්ජනීය බල ශක්ති සමාගම් එක ආයතනයක් යටතේ පවත්වාගෙන යන්න. සම්ප්‍රේෂණ කටයුතු වෙනම සමාගමක් හැටියටත් ප්‍රධාන පාලක පද්ධතිය 100%ක් රජයේ අයිතිය යටතේ ඉදිරියටත් පවත්වාගෙන යන්න තමයි යෝජනා කරලා තියෙන්නේ. අපේ දැනට විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයේ වෙන් වෙලා තියෙන බෙදා හැරීමේ කලාප 4ක් ඒ කලාප 4 වෙනම සමාගම් 4ක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කර කාර්යක්ෂම පවත්වාගෙන යන්න. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ විදුලි බල ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ නියාමන ආයතනයේ වශයෙන් මහජන උපයෝගිතා කොමිසම තවදුරටත් ඒ ආකාරයෙන්ම කටයුතු කරගෙන යන නීති සැලසුම් මේ තුල සකස් කිරීම. විදුලි ගාස්තු නව ගාස්තු ක්‍රමවේදයක් ලැබිට සකස් කරේ විශේෂම වියදම් ආවරණය කර ගැනීමේ පදනම මත පමණයි. ඔක්තෝබර් මාසයේ අවසානයේ වෙන විට තවමත් ඉන්නේ රුපියල් බිලියන 12ක පාඩුවක් සමග. ඔක්තෝබර් නොවැම්බර් කියන මාසවල ජල විදුලියෙන් වැඩි කොටසක් උත්පාදනය වෙනවා. දෙසැම්බර් මාසයේ වෙන විටත් වැසි තත්ත්වය තවදුරටත් වර්ධනය වෙලා ජල විදුලියෙන් උත්පාදනය කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් අපිට සම්පූර්ණ අලාභය පියවා ගැනීමට හැකි වුණොත් රජයක් වශයෙන් අපි නැවත වතාවක් විදුලි බිල සංශෝධනය කරලා ඒ ප්‍රතිලාභය පාරිභෝගිකයන් වෙත ලබා දෙන්න කටයුතු කරන්න තීන්දුව කළා තියෙනවා.
What is the status of the Sinopec refinery? And you all have a signing date for the project and also quantum of investment now.
I just mentioned it. It's at the cabinet level. So the cabinet first has to give approval. It's on the agenda for Monday. So once the cabinet gives approval, we will invite them to sign the agreements.
Any dates or the quantum of investment, please?
It will be about minimum 4.5 billion investment. It will go up in value as and when they do the additions, but they have to first come and sign the agreements for us to give any more details. To sign the agreement, they have to first be given the approval. So the approval is still with the cabinet of ministers. It will go only to them on Monday.
Now, meanwhile, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa alleged that the cabinet has decided to curb the sports minister's ability to appoint interim committees for sports associations based on the powers vested in him as per the provisions of the Sports Law Act No. 25 of 1973. In Parliament today, Chief Opposition Whip Lakshman Kiriyala said the Cabinet has no right to arrive at such a decision, which is contrary to the sports law of the country.
අංක 25 දරන 1973 ක්‍රීඩා පනතේ විශේෂයෙන්ම 32 වෙනි සහ 33 වෙනි වකන්ති දිහා බැලුවහම ක්‍රීඩා අමාත්‍යවරයා සතු බලතල තිබෙනවා අත් වශයෙන්ම අන්තර්වාර කමිටු පත් කිරීමේ හැකියාව ඒ විතරක් නෙවෙයි නිසි බලධාරීන් පත් කිරීමේ හැකියාවත් ක්‍රීඩා අමාත්‍යවරයාට තිබෙනවා. අපිට දැනගන්න ලැබුණා කැබිනට් එක තීන්දුවක් අරන් තියෙනවා මින් ඉදිරියට ක්‍රීඩා අමාත්‍යවරයාට මේ ඉන්ටරිම් කමිටිස් පත් කිරීමේ හැකියාව තිබෙන්නේ කැබිනට් අනුමැතියකින් පසුයි කියන කාරණාව. මේක බරපතල තත්ත්වයක්. ඉතින් මම විශේෂයෙන්ම අහන්න කැමති සභානායකතුමාගෙන් සභානායකතුමා එහෙම පුළුවන් ද කැබිනට් එකට තීන්දුවක් ගන්න මේ රටේ පවතින ක්‍රීඩා නීතිය අභිබවා ගිහිල්ලා
කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයක් තීරණ ගන්න ඕන රටේ නීතිය අඩුව. නීතියට පටහැටි තීරණ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට ගන්න බෑ. නඩු තීන්දුව ගන්නවක් තියෙනවා.
අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලයේදී සිදු වුණේ අමාත්‍ය අන්‍ය කොමිටුවක් පත් කිරීම මේ ක්‍රිකට් ක්‍රීඩාවේ එදා මතුවලා තිබිච්ච තත්ත්වය සම්බන්ධයෙන්. එහෙම නැතුව අමාත්‍යවරයෙකුගේ බලතල කප්පාදු කිරීමක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් සාකච්ඡා කිරීමක් සිදු වුණේ නැහැ. මම හිතන්නේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නය අමාත්‍යතුමාට යොමු වෙච්ච නිසා එතුමා විසින් මේකට පිළිතුරක් දෙවි.
There has been an attempt to import transmission pipes, distribution pipes for almost 4,000 kilometers length, all of which is now lying idle in the Colombo port. It's strewn all over the place. For the past several years, as this government came to power, they went on a very ambitious program to have almost 78% water supply coverage for the entire country. Now it's a very impossible thing. Now for the past 70 years, we have been able to cover barely about 50% of the country. Now within 5 years, they were attempting to cover almost 24% more by pipe-borne water supply. Now banks have refused to pay the LCs. If you take the demurrage, it will be several times more than the value of the pipes that are lying in the yards of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. So this is the extent to which the total inefficiency and this unrealistic ambitious program has landed the country and the water board into a serious problem.
With regards to the pipes that you had mentioned that are in the harbour with money which we haven't paid for, I would like to say the third month of me becoming a minister, we started negotiations with CICT as well. And to be honest, these pipes were bought at the rate of 100 odd million rupees at that point of time. And eventually it came up to 1.2 billion just in demurrages. So we were able to negotiate a cut price on that. And right now all pipes have been taken out. They have been distributed. But there is one issue of laying the pipes which we are talking to those relevant local authorities. And we are confident we'll be able to execute that post the budget. And there's also one fact that was misrepresented. Over the past 70 years, it's not that we barely reached 50% of pipe water coverage. In fact, we've reached 60.4% from the water board alone. Apart from the water board, we are working with the Department of Community Water. Close to 5,000 CBOs are working with us. That's roughly about 15%. So we have gone further, but totally 95% of the country's population have access to water. But I must admit as the relevant subject minister that there is an issue with the quality of water and also the issue with local governments not being equipped to deal with this matter. So we are coming to a consensus on that. And Honourable Member, I would just like to remind you, since I am a young minister who is up and coming, I am learning the ropes. And in order, when I dealt with issues with the water sector, just a few months ago in Parliament, I had requested a meeting with all the former ministers of water under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister. But Honourable Member, you did not make it for that meeting. Had you come, we would have been able to come to a more wide consensus on the matter. Hopefully you'll be able to attend the next meeting.
Now, keeping with the latest controversies surrounding cricket in Sri Lanka, Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs Roshan Ranasinghe highlighted the need to dissolve the boards of the district cricket associations prior to the election of Sri Lanka cricket and appoint officials with unblemished records to these associations. Addressing the media in Kandy today, the sports minister said corrupt officials are elected to the Sri Lanka Cricket Executive Board with the support of the existing boards of the district cricket associations.
මේ අය එක තැනක කණ්ඩායම එකතු වෙලා කතා කරලා තියෙනවා අපිට මේකෙන් එළියට යන්න වුණොත් අවුරුදු 15ක් හිරේ ඉන්න වෙන්නේ. ඒකනේ ක්‍රිකට් එකේ ලේකම්වරයා ඉල්ල ආසුනේ. මොහන් ඩිසිල්වා ඉල්ල අස්වැලා මට ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ ඉඳලා එතුමා කතා කරලා කියනවා මම බැලුවා මේක හරි මගට ගන්න නිසි ක්‍රමවේදයක් නැහැ ප්‍රසම්පාදන ක්‍රියාවලියක් අනුගමනය කරන්නේ නැහැ හැම තැනම ආයෝජන ක්‍රියාවෙන් මුදල් ගසා කාලා මේ තත්ත්වයන් හින්දා මම ඉල්ලා අස්සුණා කියන එක තමයි ඔහු ප්‍රකාශ කරන්නේ. මේ අය කරලා තියෙන දූෂණ ආක්‍රමිකතා මම හැමතිස්සෙම කියනවනේ. මං කිව්වේ 2018 ඉඳලා 23 දක්වා ගේන්න වෝහාරික විගණනය. මොනවා කෙරුවත් අන්තිමේට වෙන්නේ මුන් ටිකම බලයට එනවා. ඒ එන්නේ කොහොමද? මේ දිස්ත්‍රික් සංගම් මහනුවර සංගමේ පැටිකිරිය ඔබතුමාලට කියන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. කොර කල්ලියක් ඉන්නේ. මහනුවර ක්‍රිකට් මේට වැඩිය හොතට හදන්න තිබ්බා. ඉතින් මම අභියෝග කරනවා මහනුවර සංගමේ විගණනය කරන්නකො මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා බලන්න. ඒ වගේ තමයි ගොඩක් තැන්වල. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා මෙන්න මේවා ටික අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම විසිරුවා හරින්න ඕන. විසිරුවා හැරලා ක්‍රිකට් එකට ආදරය කරන දිස්ත්‍රික් වල පිරිසිදු මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවා. අන්න ඒ අයගෙන් මේ කමිටු ටික පත් කළයි නිලවරණයට යන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් ආයෙත් ඔය හොරු තමයි බලයට එන්නේ.
Now, meanwhile, a decision has been made to carry out the inquiry on Sri Lanka cricket conducted by the Committee on Public Enterprises without its chairman, Professor Ranjit Bandara. The decision was made at the party leaders' meeting held in Parliament today. Recently, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa raised concerns in Parliament about a potential conflict of interest with Professor Bandara, leading the COPE investigation into the SLC. Public footage of the SLC hearing at the committee also sparked controversy due to what appeared to be the professor hand signalling a member of the Sri Lanka Cricket Association, leading to a speculation that Professor Bandara had silenced him not to speak. Now, leader of the Maubima Janata Party, entrepreneur Dilip Jayavira, highlighted the importance of living with hope at a time where many Sri Lankans miss the luxuries they once had. Addressing a gathering during a religious event in Ruwanwala, he went on to say that Sri Lankans must strive to protect the Buddhist philosophy.
A ceremony to unveil the pinnacle of a newly constructed stupa of the Sri Shailathalarama Purana Viharaya in Kotalugodakanda, Ruwanwala was held recently under the patronage of leader of the Maubima Janata Party, entrepreneur Dilip Jayavira.
මේ විවිධ දේශපාලනික හා සමාජික ගැටලු නිසා අද රට තුළ ගොඩක් ගැටලු ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාත්මකව මාස ගණනක් වතුර නැතුව ජීවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. වහලක් නැතුව ජීවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් අපිට ජීවත් වෙන්නට බෑ මොහොතක්වත් අපේක්ෂාව නැති වුණු තැන. ඉතින් අපිට අද අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ වැඩියෙන්ම මේ අපේක්ෂාව. අපිට අද නැති වෙමින් පවතින්නේ අපේක්ෂාව. අපි අපේ ජීවිතය ගත කරන්නට වෙනදා තිබුණු ඒ ආහාර එහෙමම නොලැබුණත් ඒ පහසුකම් එහෙමම නොලැබුණත් අපිට අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා කොහොම හරි බලාපොරොත්තු සාහිත්‍ය ජීවිතය. ඉතින් අපිට අපේ වෙන කිසිම රටකට නොදුන්න මේ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ දර්ශන බුදුදහම පමණයි අපිට මේදී පිළිපෙළ තිබුණේ. ඉතින් අපි දිවි හිමියෙන් මේ රැකගත යුතුයි.
Now, in more local news, 4 police officers were remanded until the 4th of December on orders of the Jaffna Magistrates Court in connection with the death of a person who was in remand custody within the Jaffna prison. Meanwhile, one person was reported injured following a head-on collision between 2 lorries on the Colombo-Chilao main road. With that, here's a look at more news across the island in brief.
The 4 police officers arrested in connection with the death of a person who was in remand custody at the Jaffna prison have been remanded until the 4th December on orders of the Jaffna Magistrates Court. According to reports, the deceased and one other suspect was arrested by the Wadakude police on the 11th of November over their complicity in several robberies in the area. Subsequent to being placed in remand custody, one of the 2 suspects was rushed to hospital twice on account of being physically unwell. Late on the 19th of November, the suspect was pronounced dead after being admitted to hospital. However, suspicions remain whether there was any foul play involved in the death of the inmate. One person was injured after 2 lorries collided head-on and overturned in Inigodavela area along the Colombo-Chilao main road. The injured person as such was then rushed to the General Hospital in Chilao. The lorries were heavily damaged following the accident, and a heavy traffic congestion was also observed in the area owing to the accident. The body of a missing person who drowned after falling into the Urubakuoya in the Wakalamulla area in Veerakatiya was recovered this morning. Accordingly, the deceased was identified as a resident of the Wakalamulla area. Meanwhile, in other news, a suspect with 10 water gel sticks and 15 non-electric detonators was apprehended by Sri Lanka Navy during a special operation conducted in Trincomalee recently. The 31-year-old suspect, along with the explosive items, was handed over to the Trincomalee police for further legal proceedings.
Now join us on the other side of this short commercial break to find out what the central bank governor had to say about Sri Lanka's state-owned enterprises. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now commenting on the state-owned enterprise loan recovery mechanism, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe says the state banks have imposed caps on sovereign exposure. Addressing the Monetary Policy Review media briefing yesterday, the central bank said there is no need for the state-owned enterprises such as the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Ceylon Electricity Board to expand their exposures to state-owned banks due to the cost recovery pricing mechanisms helping them to service their debt from profits they earn.
You said that we can be optimistic about the outcome of our debt reworking, but given that now China wants separate treatment, what is our progress on getting our country the best deal possible?
I think we have already announced this. Whatever the deal we agree will be comparable across all the creditors. That we have given the assurance right from the president, made the statement to the global all the creditors. Any treatment will be comparable across the creditors. That we have that assurance.
In the last treasury auction, when we had 250 billion rupees, only 73 billion rupees was raised. Where is the rest of the funding coming from, and what do you see as the appropriate yield for government securities now?
Government treasury would no longer have this monetary financing in the auctions, but good part is that they have now built up a buffer so that we smoothen out any shortfalls on weekly or monthly basis auctions. They build up a buffer so that if they think that their decision to accept at what rates appropriate to the market rates, then they have the flexibility and ability to accept whatever the amounts based on the buffer they have built up. And they have built up this buffer, they have utilized that buffer, and also the revenue flows are better, so that on that they have better cash flows. They build up a buffer so that they have a much better management of government securities through the market forces.
We saw in the fiscal management report also that the government has a large cash balance for the first time, and there are no overdrafts from the state bank. How will that impact bank lending rates in the future? And also, if this is going to be used for, as and when it happens, whether it's going to be used for repaying debt instead of raising large amount of money.
The government has built up this buffer for them to be able to manage the short-term debt service payment. That's the reason why they are building a buffer without relying on the two state banks' overdraft facilities. Instead, they have deficits now.
Exactly.
That's, I think, a good development.
What is the SOE sector loan recovery mechanism for that, especially about the state banks?
State banks now, they have imposed caps on sovereign exposure. Caps is in place. As going forward, we'll maintain those caps. I don't think now with the cost recovery pricing for both CPC and CB, I don't see any reason why they will have to expand their exposures to state-owned banks. That obviously, both CPC and CB after crisis are making profits, and they should be able to service and without expanding their exposures further. And over a long period of time, I think that we have a plan to bring down the exposures by two state banks, and once they are making profits, they can go into other banks as well. They can diversify their banking sources so that other banks also can now same business on the basis of better balance sheets of the state-owned enterprises.
Are the government going to absorb existing loans, especially CPC loans?
Already absorbed CPC foreign currency loans, government has taken and they have been restructured. But the rupee loans, no.
Now in your latest corporate developments at the National ICT Awards NBQSA 2023, the Jana Shakti Group received an award highlighting a digital product developed by the group's ICT team for Jana Shakti Life, which targeted a niche market generating active community engagement. Meanwhile, SoftLogic Holdings PLC announced the appointment of its senior independent director with effect from the 22nd of November 2023. With that, let's take a look at today's corporate news segment for the day.
The Jana Shakti Group recently clinched a prestigious award at the National ICT Awards NBQSA 2023 for a cutting-edge innovation. The Jana Shakti Group won the award for a digital product developed by Jana Shakti Group's IT team for Jana Shakti Life, which targeted a niche market generating active community engagement. This recognition not only acknowledged the group's commitment to next-gen advancement, but also underscored its contribution to marketplace development and competitiveness. SoftLogic Holdings PLC announced that Joseph Decius Nihal Kakulavala, the company's independent non-executive director, has been appointed as a senior independent director of the company with effect from the 22nd of November 2023. The company stated that the appointment of a senior independent director is required as per the rules of 9.6.2 and 9.6.3 of the Colombo Stock Exchange listing rules. In a recent corporate disclosure, UB Finance PLC announced the appointment of an acting chairman to the company. The company stated that in terms of Section 8 of the listing rules and consequent to the receipt of the regulatory approval under Finance Company Structural Changes Direction No. 1 of 2013, Hisham Sabri Gauss was appointed as the acting chairman of the company with effect from the 21st of November.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of AdaDerana First at 9. Stay in touch with us on www.adaderana.lk for the latest developments around the clock. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.